All right, to start the next part of the program, uh, as I remind every time, when we practice, always it's a recommendation from the Blessed One that we have to support the practice. To support the practice, what we are supposed to do is we will have to maintain the morality. We will have to take an effort to maintain the morality. We call it moral supportive factor. And then there is another one called listening supportive factor, discussion supportive factor, and tranquility supportive factor, and wisdom supportive factor. The tranquility supportive factor and the wisdom supportive factor we have done to the best of our ability in the last 1.5 hours or so. And what is left for us to do is the second and third, because moral supportive factor is something that we usually try to adhere to in our day-to-day living, right? So for the listening supportive factor, we have selected the discourse Four Foundations of Mindfulness or Mahasatipatthana Sutta, and gone into bit detail into it, and we have come to a very important stage now, right? What happens in the Four Foundations of Mindfulness discourse is that the Blessed One is introducing the most important experiment that a human being should do. The most important experiment in the sense, there are a lot of experiments that people are doing, but none of those experiments are really um, the word that is used in Pali is the experiments of wise people. All experiments that are happening in the world they call it anaryapartation, right? Because the reason for that is all other experiments are trying to understand external world, trying to explore the outer space, but no one is exploring inner space, right? So the Blessed One says, if someone is trying, or if someone is experimenting what is happening internally, then that becomes the experiment of the wise man, right? Not white man, right? So this experiment, what he says is we are running like a vehicle that is going on freeway, right? We are going at the highest speed possible, sometimes even more, and we don't know what is happening. So the Blessed One says, stop your vehicle and see what happens. Who drives it, and who is the driver, and what is the mechanism? Right? So to do that, he says, don't stop it straight away. Stop it slowly. And that is why when we start the practice, we start with walking mindfulness. We stop every other thing and then try to do mindful walking. That is still doing something, but as after stopping as much things as possible, right? And once you slow down, then it is time to break and stop completely. That is when you come to the mindful sitting. And those are the two techniques, two tools that we are using to experiment this vehicle or to find who the driver is, because we see only the vehicle running. And we stop that vehicle and now try to see the vehicle. To see the vehicle, what we do is we bring our attention to the body. When we bring our attention to the body, the Blessed One, although we are using only these two techniques, and sometimes we try to be mindful other bodily functions in our day-to-day life, which are experientiable, right? In the discourse, there are 14 ways how you can do it. And of those 14 ways, the ending is always the Blessed One says, uh, only thing that you can see in the body is when you get as intensely close as possible to the body. This body is always arising and passing away, arising and passing away, and that phenomena is there, and that you can see, right? So when you see that, it is not that running vehicle that you see now. You are seeing a different side to your vehicle, right? So then he says, although this is what has been happening, you didn't see that in the past. Number one, because you were so busy with external things. Number two, your mind was not sharp enough, right? Now your mind is sharp enough. You have seen um, the minute layer of your body, or at least the subtlest possible level of your body. When you come to this stage, you have to a certain extent mastered the body. When you master your body, what actually happens is you have really stopped other functions. As a result, the person or the mechanism that has been generating energy, the mechanism that has been really motivating the body to function the way it was functioning, is now in bit of a trouble, right? Engine is working, but the vehicle is not running, right? So at that stage, subtle stage of the body, you will be able to see now who has been giving command to the body to work the way it has been working. How you can see this is from the feelings, right? The body is acting always to the likings and disliking that the mind is generating, right? So at liking and disliking the feelings, the discourse says the next layer of your experiment, and in that layer, you will have pleasant feelings, unpleasant feelings, and neither pleasant nor unpleasant feelings. And when those things happen, those things will basically happen in two categories. One is ordinary layman's living category, and the other is spiritual category, which we call amisa and niramisa. So, irrespective of what category it is in, irrespective of what sort of feelings you get, the Blessed One advice is one, just observe. Right? So when you keep on observing this as well, what happens is you go now away from the mind or from the body. You are opening another layer of your existence, which we call the mental process. In the mental process, when that is open, when you don't act the way the body was being ordered to work, or when you don't respond to the command of the mind, then you will be able to see who is generating or who is behind the liking and disliking, who is behind the feelings, who is behind pleasant feelings, unpleasant feelings, neither pleasant nor unpleasant feelings, right? And that is where you have the actual mind is working, or that is where the actual mind is, right? In that section, once you open the gate of mind through the sensation, you see it is there are a lot of according to Blessed One's analysis in the mindfulness of the mind, he says there are a lot of perceptions, there are a lot of intentions that generate this liking and disliking, right? And those perceptions and intentions are basically categorized into uh, 8 categories. Uh, Here we have already discussed, I think, two, the first main two, which generate liking and disliking. The main two are the lust and the hatred, right? And Blessed One says, when you don't react to the feelings, irrespective of what feelings it is, then only you will be able to see these type of perceptions and intentions are coming up as thoughts, right? They are not active, they are not doing anything, they are not making you express your words or verbalize it or physically do it, but that urge is there, that storytelling is there, that process chain thoughts are going on, right? They are mainly, as I said, lustful and the hatred. Once again, the Blessed One's advice is that is also handled or managed only just by observing it, right? And if you observe it, and if you don't react to them, what happens is its normal behavior changes, right? Normal behavior is you get a thought and then you verbalize it and you physically do it, and then the process is complete. Now we have challenged that process, and in challenging the process only we took the reverse order. We stopped doing, we stopped verbalizing, and then we have opened up this mental process, and we in the mental process we have caught the two main culprits that creates this liking and dislike. And now what happens is, not only the mind is having, the Blessed One says, this lust and hatred, the mind is having the other side of it as well. So this is why everyone is saying you train the mind, you change the brain. In our brain, we only make use of one side of it. The other side is untouched because we have been always listening to this craving part of the mind, where you have lustful and hatred thoughts, and they give sensations that we like, and we have been doing them, and the other side is completely untouched. But when we go back, the Blessed One says, okay, you will first see this lustful and hatred thoughts, or lustful and hatred mind. But if you really don't react to that, then you can see the other side, where there is no lust, where there is no hatred as well. I think we completed up to that point. Is that right, Chatu? Yeah. So we can take the other one, the third one. Can you read the third one, Chatu?
And how, bhikkhus, does a bhikkhu abide contemplating mind as mind? Here a bhikkhu understands mind affected by lust as mind affected by lust, and mind unaffected by lust as mind unaffected by lust. He understands mind affected by hate as mind affected by hate, and mind unaffected by hate as mind unaffected by hate. He understands mind affected by delusion as mind affected by delusion, and mind unaffected by delusion as mind unaffected by delusion. He understands contracted mind as contracted mind, and distracted mind as distracted mind.
We will take uh, these two today. What to mind affected by delusion and mind not affected by delusion, right? It's not a novel thing for you that the main roots of defilement are greed, hatred, and delusion. So delusion is a word that you have heard, right? Now here we have come to a situation where you are now able to experience delusion. You are now able to see delusion. How do you see this delusion is, as Blessed One has mentioned in the first two, when you don't react to your lustful thoughts or mind affected by lust, what happens is it comes from usual sensual lust, and when you don't react to them, then your lust go into your practice, and you feel your practice is so cool, and then you get attracted to that practice, and you will be talking very high about it, right? And mind also will be giving a lot of interpretations, analysis about how well you will be doing. So that same lust is now coming onto the practice. And even when the teacher says, or when you hear to talk that you should not have lust even towards that, the lust has nowhere to go, right? When there is no lust, then what happens is you really get annoyed that there is now nothing to do, right? So that annoyance will come up. You will observe that as well. When you observe annoyance, even annoyance will go away. So once hatred and your lust is gone away, you will know it. How you will know it is you will be feeling so bored, you will be feeling so miserable, you will be feeling very lethargic. Why? Because there is nothing to hype up, there is nothing to pump up, right? It is so dull, right? And when that happens in your practice or generally in life, today when someone was giving her report in the morning for the Sinhala session, one lady said, and after practicing, when she comes out to do the normal work, she doesn't feel doing anything. It takes some time, 3 4 hours, to get into the real rhythm of doing household chores. That is because that she has lost the interest in doing things. You don't see any meaning in what we do, right? And that attitude, that mentality changes, right? So how you will initially experience it, when you are walking, you feel going for a tea, or when you are sitting, you may feel open your eyes and checking whether the time is right or whether the bell is ringing or how many more minutes are there, and various things will happen. Or you will feel get up and go, right? That one, when that boredom sets in, then what we usually do is it's a big complaint. But the Blessed One says here, that is the evidence that you have to say that your mind is not affected by lust and not affected by hatred. What do you do for that? Observe that as well. And when you keep on observing this, when you don't respond to this boredom, mind gets bored. Now, initially, what happens is you get bored. But once you don't respond to the boredom, mind is losing its trumps, right? And it gets bored. You completely go blank. You will sit. When you are sitting, you don't know what happened. It is like, after some time, you feel like you get what you call a needle um, to put you to sleep, right? What do you call it? Anesthetic, right? And or you may feel you completely, you sit and sleep, that's all you know, and you wake up when the bell rings. What has happened? No lust, no hatred, no boredom. Mind recognize why to live. It's like all gone, right? And that is the delusion. That is the basis on which the lust and hatred has been performing its drama, staging its drama all this time. Now once you remove that, you go to that foundation, you go to that basis. Now this is how you experience that basis. While walking, you can't walk properly. You walk like Chatu walks, right? Because the mind doesn't recognize the way how it has to happen, right? It goes all over the world, right? And when that way, when your mind is affected by delusion, you once again come and give that as a complaint, right? Because you don't expect these things when you practice. When you come for mindfulness, why you come for this? Okay, your what do you call, happiness level will increase, shoot up like a rocket, and your energy will shoot up, and your concentration will be so sharp, and you never think that after practicing you will fall asleep, right, while sitting, right? So it becomes a big complaint and big argument. Sometimes some people leave meditation when this happens because they don't want this to happen, they want something cool to happen, right? But if there is someone who really feels that this has reduced my friction to some extent, and this has given some change in their physical and mental behavior, then they realize that there is something going on. I should continue, right? So, a lot of people, when they come to this stage, no matter what happens, and they are used to keeping the mindfulness to the fore, they just keep practicing, right? Sleep or not, they just maintain their timetable. They just go and sit, right? So while sitting, the same thing happens. They sit, after some time sleep, wake up after some time sleep, keep on doing that, and they realize if someone has slept or felt like sleeping for 1 hour, they start waking up not in 1 hour, in 55 minutes. And the last 5 minutes, they are fairly awake, or at least to a certain extent, they know certain things happening. And then, still, when they continue, they will wake up even earlier, right? And then they start waking up even earlier. And then it turns into, in one sitting, they fall asleep twice, fall asleep thrice, fall asleep 4 times. And this frequency increases. In one sitting, they fall asleep and then wake up, fall asleep and wake up. What it means is, now gradually, this person is now waking up into delusion, right? Even the teachers, when the complaint comes that, okay, I feel sleepy and I'm falling asleep, I don't know what happened, I have no control over it. What the teachers usually say is, at least two things that I'm telling, is try to be mindful at the very first thought moment, that before you go into sleep, right? So you will have to increase your energy to see how you fall into the sleep state or the delusion state. Or the other thing I'm telling is, when you wake up, be vigilant to see whether if it happens once again, right? So in other words, what we simply try to do is to increase the energy to see its beginning, right? So whether we do it or not, once you have mastered it for some time, and in that manner only your karma depreciates, goes away, because we have been negligent, we have been in delusion for such a long time in our existence. So this is not something that our physical and mentality has ever experienced in this level. So to come to this level, we have we have really invested a lot of energy, and that gathering that energy momentum, right, is happening in that sleep. Not that you really completely go out of meditation. Only thing is your energy is not sufficient enough to see that the mind is awake at this stage. So when this energy is sufficiently gathered, is sufficiently concentrated, then only you start quietly, little by little, waking up. So once you wake up into it, or at least generally have an idea of that you are not really sleepy, then you will be able to see there will have a stage when you come and sit, or sometimes some people have even reported while walking it happens. They after some time they in the sitting they observe a stage where as soon as they close their eyes and bring their attention to the breath, they feel that they are being dragged in a tunnel to a dark room, right? They feel that they are being sucked into a very dark area. Now it is not complete sleeping, it is not complete darkness. Now they see that it is happening, right? So that is the stage where your mind is now not affected by delusion. Earlier, the first case, mind is completely affected by delusion. When delusion is there, you don't know it to take. But once you gradually wake up, and still you can't stop it, at least now you see your mind energy is sufficient enough to observe this. What actually happens there is, if I explain that in terms of physics, this is the point where uh, where space and time dimension has been removed in our existence. In that particular point in time, we are not affected by the time. We are not affected by the space. We have thin sliced time, we have thin sliced space, and we live in each and every fraction of a nanosecond, right? So when we go out of time and space, that energy that existed in that time and space is working, and the energy that was existing in that time and space is the delusion. Why I say delusion is because you will have time and space only when you have greed and hatred. Now you don't have greed and hatred, you have gone to the energy layer. That energy layer initially has really overpowered you. Now you have come out of that overpowering and you are able to see that overpowering. Still it is happening, but still you are able to see that energy is sucking you in. And the scientist spends billions and trillions of dollars to understand that. And the only thing, after spending so much money, they say it is dark matter, it is dark energy. For a meditator, it's a wonderful experience to say that they have come out of this greed and hatred. Therefore, that dark energy for the meditator is not something to put it in the newspaper. They don't go and tell that in the media. They don't put that in the Facebook. They don't make a YouTube channel, although I make talk, make although this talk goes into YouTube channel. Right, right. So this why that is happening is because the greed and hatred is taken out, but for the scientists it is not taken out. For the scientists, they look for these things to packet and sell. They want to do a product out of it. They want to do some marketing and they want to earn money. So therefore, it's a big business. But for the meditator, he has come out of that stage and he is experiencing that in first hand by himself and doesn't tell anybody as well, right? Okay, so now if you have seen that stage, then the practitioner or the teachers or the noble friends will say, keep on going, and this is how you come out of delusion, and these are things that usually happens. You don't understand what is happening, and if you try to do anything here, this natural process will be affected. So you don't simply do anything. Let whatever happens happen. Only thing you to do is, if possible, keep observing, right? Keep your energy level as high as possible, just to observe it as a camera that is turned on, right? So other side of the tunnel, when he comes out, I'm not saying actually that you are going through a tunnel and coming out from other side. uh, all these are mental proliferations that are taking place, right? And all these are manifestations by the mind to get your attraction. But you don't respond, you just observe, right? So the product that comes from the other side is what he mentioned, the second two. What are the second two you mentioned, Chatu? Mind, distracted mind, contracted mind, and the distracted mind, right? Contracted mind means now the person coming out from the other side in this observation is a newborn, right? And the word that is using in USA is born again, right? And this is the real born again, right? Why he is born again is he's a person now coming after challenging the delusion which has been governing us all this time. So therefore, he's a person who is reborn in the same lifespan, right? So this is the actual born again. So when he comes out from the other side, he is not. He's a baby, shy baby, a baby who doesn't want anything, a baby who has been in a tunnel, right? So his mind is very therefore contracted, right? He is a bit shocked as to what happened, and especially those who have lived a very luxurious life, those who have lived as very reserved people, those who have lived very comfortably, right? When they have this experience, they will have a very contracted mind, right? Because they don't want to all of a sudden come out from the other side and make a big show, right? So how you experience that is the question. How you experience that is there will have time in your practice, especially while sitting. Not that it is not happening in walking. In walking, what usually happens is you get too concentrated, and all this happens when your concentration is very high. You completely lose your walking. You can't do it properly, right? But why in sitting, what happens is you know that you are falling down. You are just slipping through, just slip it through like a snake. You sit and you can't sit. You just fall down. Sometimes people fall. Those who even have their spinal injuries, they don't have any pain. They drop their forehead completely onto the floor. They know, right? But they can't. They say, no, I can't. I don't have any control over my body. I can't lift my body up, right? That is because mind has gone through the delusion and they have come out of the delusion, and because they have been in that delusion womb for such a long time, as soon as they come out, they don't have any strength to raise the body. But they know now They are not going through the tunnel, right? They are not going to any dark area. Only thing happening is you have no control over your body. It just falls down, slips down, slither down, and it keeps happening. And again, the teachers will say, okay, it's a normal thing happening. Once again, you will have to do is when you sit, you have a very still try to sharpen your mind to see the beginning of this falling down, beginning of this lethargic falling stage, right? And what you now see is not the beginning. What you now see is its middle once it has happened, right? Then, as I said earlier, for the sleepy stage, you slept the whole 1 hour. Even in this case, people will just put their um, head on the floor and they will be like there for the whole 1 hour, and it will happen for some time until it matures. So after it matures, then they start waking up, or they are able to lift their body slightly to some extent after 55 minutes, and then 50 minutes, and then 45 minutes, and then 30 minutes, and then in one sitting it happens twice, in one sitting it happens thrice. This intensity of the frequency increases. The frequency increases means you are getting closer to identifying, recognizing the beginning of how it happens, right? Going to the beginning is the most important thing, because although we have gone through the delusion is not completely gone. Still, there are little bits of, not little bit, a bit of delusion in each of these stages. Because you aren't able to see those things, only you fall into this, right? So, once again, there is only one remedy. The remedy is to continue the practice. You don't have anything to observe now. You don't have any thoughts. You don't have any pain. There is nothing to concentrate. You just come and just fall down. That's all, right? So you really feel this is a real nonsense now. You never thought that mindfulness or the practicing meditation is something like this. What you were expecting was to see others' minds and levitate. None of those are happening. Instead, you dig a hole in the ground now, and the forehead is on the floor, right? Um, the remedy is you keep continuing. You simply keep continuing. You simply keep maintaining your timetable, and that provides the energy. What is the energy it is providing? The energy not to react. If you stop your practice, if you change the technique, that's a subtle reaction, subtle hatred towards what is happening, right? I met someone when I went to Canberra last time. She said, I stopped this for 6 months. These things are happening. This is really rubbish. And I stopped for 6 months. And she has stopped twice. And then she says, although I've stopped, I can't completely ignore it. There's a huge urge for me to go and sit and walk, but I didn't do for 6 months, and completely did all other things, roaming around and holidaying and all sensual pleasure. But still, there is some urge in the system to do it. And she started again, started the same thing happened. Then I stopped once again, she said. And then I asked her the day before I had given the remedy, and I had given the similar talk in Sinhala that night. I asked her, she was there. Did you hear the answer I gave you when I mentioned that thrice? She said no. What I will have to do, I don't know. And I said I mentioned that thrice. So see, even if we give a talk, although you are attentive, our mind is so sharp to ensure that you don't hear what you require to hear. And sometimes it may be that um, right words, right way of expression may not come to my mind as well. Our minds are so sharp to ensure that those things are not put out, right? So, but I had mentioned thrice the same thing that has to be done. She has not heard, and I asked others, even others, they just went around and they could not give the right answer. But one lady said, "You will have to simply maintain the timetable. Maintaining timetable is the only thing that you will have to do, and using the same technique is the only thing that you will have to do. That only uh, makes avoids the expected reaction. Why these things are coming up is to get a reaction. If you do anything different, it's a reaction. You don't think it's a reaction, but that is what is happening. So, as Hansika may know, this is what we call marginal utility. Diminishing marginal utility, you have heard. Who doesn't know those things? Uh, in diminishing marginal utility means when someone is given something within defined intervals, he loses the need for it. He loses the satisfaction that he gets from it, right? So that is what is happening here. Initially, when it is happening, you sleep the whole time, and the mind is so happy. Yeah, I did not allow this person to get up, and body is down. But you keep on doing the same thing, and the mind is losing the satisfaction that it gets doing the thing. So that is that. Although the economists have received Nobel prizes for them, Buddha has mentioned 2,600 years ago without any formula. You keep on doing the same thing, then anything will be useless. You will not like anything, and everything will pass away, right? So once that happens, when the frequency increases, when you get closer to the real uh, way how you keep your body in the optimum position after coming out of this tunnel, then this newborn baby, newborn person, born again person, will see everything not contracted now. Everything, what's the word that is used? Scattered or distracted? Yes, it is completely distracted. Completely distracted means now you see things not in a way that you attract them, that you catch them, that you try to hold them. You see it with a different viewpoint, different mentality. So many things you can see, but you are not getting hooked onto them. You are not being passionate by them, right? You're passion. What do you call it? Yeah, you are very dispassionate to it, right? But there are so many things when you open your eyes. So then the mind gets so distracted, right? And you may feel when that happens, I don't understand why I became mindful, because now it has become a headache. You see things so vividly, you hear things so vividly, and everything are so sensitive, because you have cracked the delusion basis. You have cracked the shell. You have come out of the shell now, right? Once you come out of the shell, it's completely a different world, and that world is a very busy marketplace where you are trying to meditate, right? So the mind is distracted. When you come and sit, you can't bring your attention to the breath. You hear so much a noise at home, right? Even they don't make any noise. They try to sit as quiet as possible, but you feel they are blasting bombs at home because your sensitivity has gone up so much, right? And thoughts, nothing to talk about it. It's like devil's workshop. Head is devil's workshop, right? As if someone has sprayed pepper into your brain, right? Or put some red dance onto your head, right? Or as if a beehive is open up in your brain, right? It's completely in disarray, right? Because now he earlier, when there is a noise at home, give a shout and scold everybody, matter is sorted out. Now you don't do that, right? So in this high sensitivity, you can't, you feel that you are distracted all over, right? And you will come to that stage, right? And the blessed one says, it is again another side of the mind. And only thing you will have to do, you have come to this stage just by doing one thing, which is observation. I know it is hard, but that is the only way out. That is the only thing that you can do. You have stopped the vehicle. You are now trying to see the driver of the vehicle, how he drives it. Now you are going from initially you check the vehicle, check the tires. Okay, since the tires are working, this is going fast. Remove the tires and check the tires, and inside there are two wheels that turns the tires, and you remove that, and then you see there is axle or something which connects, and then you go to the axle and see there is another wheel that connects to something else, and then you are going back and you are trying to see actually who really drives it. So you are going in the right way, I have told, which is non-reactional observation, and you are doing that. Keep on doing that, although this stage is so hard, right? So when the distracted mind is there, again it's another huge complaint. For some people, when this happens, they don't get proper sleep as well. And they say, okay, මොක තමයි කියන්නේ භාවනා කරන්න එපා පිස්සු හැදෙනවා, right? It is not that that person has really progressed, and it has come to a stage where his sensitivity has increased very high, right? So the discussion is very important when those things happen. If the discussion is there and if you keep suppressing, no one knows it, and you won't be able to definitely handle it alone. And some people do is they go and see doctors as to understand what is happening, because it is not only the mind. Sometimes even bodily you may feel like hypertension. You may feel like high blood pressure, right? I have done about thrice, and they check, put all the gadgets, and say, "Oh, nothing, all right, nothing is wrong there in the body, right?" But that feeling never goes away, right? So only thing the Blessed One says is, we never, our mind will suggest observe it, because it's when that happens, it is so fast. Can't bring your mind to mindfulness, right? And it really overpowers you. But after talking, after listening, especially after discussions, then gradually you may find your own techniques, right, to handle this. And one day you will feel, if you continue the timetable, no matter what happens, okay, let everything go. I will just observe and I will accept this messy situation, right, as it is, right? And what I have done is, I one day, this kept on going for about 6 months, and then I just sat and labeled the situation. I'm in a mess. I'm in a mess. You don't believe. Only two labeling was required. Completely settled down, because that is the power of mindfulness, right? When you honestly 100% accept that that unpleasant unpleasant situation as unpleasant, honestly, then it goes away, right? And that is what he's recommending. Once that goes away in that manner, then it opens up another beautiful area uh, that our mind has, and that area we will discuss in the next meeting. And if I give a bit more, of what is happening here. The analogy of the iceberg, what you simply do is, any part of the iceberg that is coming out of water, we just keep burning. We use our mindfulness to burn the top part. When we burn the part that is manifested, once you burn it, the part that has been underwater is coming out, right? So always in an iceberg, only 1/10 is above the water, 9/10 is under the water. So we don't try to look for 9/10, we just burn the top part. This is why we opened up with the body, and we burn the body part, and then the feeling, and then we have come to the mind. In the mind, there are different layers. Now we are slowly, little by little, burning one by one. And when you burn one by one, the whatever that had not been there earlier will come up, right? So when I say burning, we simply do one thing: maintain the timetable and keep observing. That's the only thing. It may be a physical process that has manifested, mental process that has manifested, or it may be a cyclically it is going from mental process to physical process to mental process, and the mixture of these things, whatever, you simply maintain the timetable and open, right? Then your ability to be patient and ability not to react will increase, right? And when that happens, what you learn is your first-hand experience. That first-hand experience is the knowledge that the world doesn't have. That is why we call it the experiment of wise man and not the experiment of white man. So we will see with this wise experience what other aspect, what other wave of the mind we can arrive at in the next discussion. So hope this discussion was useful to understand and relate your experiences to some extent and help your practice. Thiruvan Sarma. Right. With that, we can go for a discussion. If there is anything to talk, tell, um, we can take up now. So you want me to go out again? Right. Done.
You said, okay. You mentioned that um when sort of like a feeling comes up, if you focus on it, it'll lose its um ability to affect you and it'll disappear. Sorry, you said that if you keep observing, if you're mindful about a situation or a feeling that arises, that it dissipates after a while. Can the same thought come over and over again? Does that make sense?
Yeah. You started with a feeling and then turned into a thought, right? Did you really mean it is feeling? Yeah. So it's not a feeling. Yeah. 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 So do you ask about the thought or the feeling, or you on the thought? So what you are saying is you have a thought and you become mindful of the thought, and then it disappears, and then comes again. Right. Okay. So this is how our what do you call agenda making mind, or the mind that is run and led by expectations work. Even mindfulness is used to get rid of something, right? So, in other words, what it has is, although you are mindful, mindfulness is used as a reaction. Instead of 100% honestly accepting your situation as your situation. Does it make sense? Yeah, you are mindful. It's not that you are not mindful, but in the back of the mind there is an expectation. Okay, this mess, I will be out of this mess if I am mindful, right? So which is not being 100% mindful, and that's not a fault as well. This is how all of us are doing. All of us are having some issue, right? All the issues that have been buried are coming up now. Initially, we think, okay, mindfulness has worked in the past, so if I become mindful, even this will go, right? So with that, we realize it settles down, but it doesn't go away. Then you realize there is something wrong in the way I'm doing, and the question comes, can it come up again? Yes, right? Because it has some intensity. Until that intensity is over on one side, and on the other side, until we become 100% accepting our situation as it is, it will not go away, because that reactional mentality is there in the back of the mind, which we call the corrupted mind, which we call underlying tendencies, right? So those underlying tendencies are making agenda without our knowledge, right? You think that you are doing a good thing, but actually it is doing a bad thing. So when you accept, you will have to, since you asked the question, I will tell. When you observe it until you, in fact, mention that, until you observe it to the bone and bone marrow, right? Because you said it affects a feeling as well. So you observe that thought, that particular thought has come, say some irritation, some agony. You keep on observing, and it intensifies, intensifies. You don't give it up. You keep on labeling without any gap in between. And then you say, although it intensifies, after some time, it starts subsiding. Then don't leave the track, right? Don't let it loose. Keep on still observing until it completely fades away, and then you can't see that thought anymore. You feel it relax, and you feel it now in your body. Keep observing the body. Keep observing the body until it goes to your, until how to see how it feels in your breath, how it feels in your sensations, how you feel it in your heart, as much as possible. It may be pleasant or unpleasant, doesn't matter. See the complete range, physical and mental process. When we, the most of the mistake most of us do is we observe the mental process. Okay, now it's gone, right? Wipe our hands and then relax. And that mindfulness has to continue, right? And it will not happen all of a sudden. You will do trial and error method and ask questions and then fail, ask questions, and gradually you learn, and you will have your own technique of handling, not the way I am telling, your own technique of handling, but happening the same. Make sense?
Can I say something, Venerable Sir?
Yes, Sarah.
Sarath here.
Right.
Yeah. I have had similar experiences as what was raised by the lady a little while ago. I found that, as she said, when you direct your observation to an attained, a hidden aspect of the mind, it does go away, but it comes back. So I have thought something like this. I don't know if it is correct. You know, there's this example given of the onion bulb, which has so many
Layers.
layers. Yes. So when I first focus the mind on the thought that is hidden, maybe one layer goes off,
Hmm.
the other layer comes up.
Hmm.
So what I have tried to do is, you know, in terms of the teaching of the Buddha about repeated application, bahuli kata.
Hmm.
The only solution is to keep doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
We don't know when it ends, but we keep trying.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the only thing that we can do.
Yeah, yeah, that's only thing you can do. And also,
Yeah.
discussion is very important.
Yeah.
Doing the same thing over and over again is fine,
Yeah.
but discussion is important to understand
Yeah.
whether your motivation of repetition
Yeah.
is working. Because
Mm.
in the back of your mind,
Mm.
still if you have this damn thing is not going away,
Yeah.
then your motivations are not straightened.
Mm.
So for that, that corrupted mind
Mm.
can be identified only by a noble friend,
Yeah.
because it is not something self-identifiable.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that is where the discussion is important. So what you are saying is 100% right, but the other factor is also equally important.
Yeah. Thank you. That's correct.
Thank you very much for your contribution. Yeah.
So it's mostly a report. There might be a question there. I'm not sure. So the last report I gave, basically there was some parts, especially in the sitting, where I thought that I don't remember what happens. The time goes really quickly. And so the instruction was to get closer to those parts and be more alert. So that's what I've been doing. So, because generally what I do when I sit is I don't do anything. So I don't care if I'm alert or not. So this time I go sit. I was sitting and I'm prioritizing being alert. So I would say that there's no period of time where I don't remember when I'm alert. The time goes just as quickly. And so when I'm alert, I guess what's happening in the practice is there's this space, and I'm just like looking at it. But what was happening was, because I was a bit more alert, I would sort of go into the space or sort of plunge into it. Or you could say that I would merge with the space. So it'll be like me observing the space, and then suddenly it was the space is me. And I'd just stay there, I guess. And then I tried the same thing with walking. And as soon as I merge with the space when I'm walking, I just violently start walking like. So if I merge with the space when I'm walking, I violently like start walking, like drunken walking as soon as that happens. Or like I sort of plunge into the space. So I didn't do that when I was walking. I just sort of kept alert, sort of like on a superficial level. So I guess my question is, should I continue? Because basically there's two different things that I'm doing. Should I, with the walking, I can't plunge it and merge. And with the sitting, I like actively have to be alert, but then the tendency is to plunge into it. So I don't know like what I should be doing.
Yes. No, what you are doing is correct. Because in the walking, you can't let it happen. If you let it happen, it completely goes out of control, because you are no longer in the physicality. So you can't walk when you are not in the physicality. So you will have to bring that subtle adjustment to walk mindful. And that is the selection of middle path. Yeah, so that is necessary there. And here you get an opportunity to sharpen that middle path even further when your physicality can be allowed to play whatever it wants to play. Because you are not doing anything physically now, you are just sitting, and you can go beyond your form, right? And you let merge, and then you know it, and just keep that awareness, keep that knowing continuously, right? Don't just get bogged down in it. You don't feel that you are attracted to it. Getting sucked into it is fine, but still you maintain your awareness. That is what is important, and that provides another sharper layer of the mind to go a bit further. Yeah, so the two different techniques. Okay. Teruvan Saranai. And Sarat, I want to ask a question from you.
Yeah, that's okay.
It's basically an English technical term.
Yeah.
We say asevati bhaveti bahuli karoti. You said bahuli karoti is repeated application. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And what are the two terms for asevati and bhaveti?
In English, you mean?
In English, yes.
Bhaveti seems to be practice.
Right.
Yeah, to do it.
Right.
Asevati is to associate.
Associate. Okay.
Yes, something like that. I'm not sure of the exact terms.
Right. If you find it, just let me know.
Yeah, sure.
Because most of the time I'm referring to Sinhala Sinhala text, and only for this program I'm just referring to English books, and sometimes you don't find those things straight away.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
That's okay.
Right. Okay, so I don't think, do we have anything else to talk? Okay, right. So
can I just ask one more question?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, just a short one.
Yeah.
You refer to this seeing the tunnel. So basically what you are suggesting is that when you see that, you you don't do anything, but let it pass, is it?
You have no control over there.
You
it is
have
happening. You simply observe it.
Yeah.
And your observation is also happening naturally here.
Yeah.
Because you have been in this dark area without your knowledge. Now you are coming out of it.
Yeah.
And you, when you come out of it, or not that you are really coming out of it, you are awakening into it. When you're awakening into it, only you see what is happening. And what actually happens is you have gone beyond time and space dimension. You are now able to observe that you are being sucked into energy.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Right. Okay, so to conclude the session, as all of us know, these things are not just happening. There are so many people helped us in the past and helping now as well, especially people like Chatu. And although there are no many people here, and this is a great meeting, and this is a great thing that you do, sacrificing so many hours of your weekend, at least fortnightly. And this is how this dispensation has come for 2,600 years. So even with one person, even with half a person, it has to continue, because that's the only way out to pass the message forward. So it's a great thing that you do for the Buddha's teaching. So therefore, I would like to share this merit that we all have accumulated to everyone, including you, for the wonderful work, the commitment, devotion that you have for the teaching, that you have for Buddha, that you have for the community of Sangha. So to do that, we will share the merits, chanting the traditional stanza, Ettavatacha.